Hello everyone, welcome back to another Total War multiplayer battle. This is going to be the Lizardmen versus the High Elves. For my army, I'm trying something a little different here. We have a total of 4 of these Cold One Riders, which are the basic cav for the Lizardmen. I don't think they're really that bad. They're pretty cheap, and they hit really hard. There are only 36 units to the 36 models to the unit. So, 50 armor-piercing focus damage seems like a lot, but you gotta remember, there's only 36 of them. Cav units are typically lower than infantry. Like, you can see these guys rocking the 52 strength, but there are 75 of them, whereas, 36. But they hit really hard. They're, I think, relatively cheap for what you get out of them. And on the charge, they can be hitting at a 66 melee attack with the charge bonus. Now, without the charge bonus, they're rocking a 34, which is still not terrible, especially for the price that they have. So we have a total of 4 of the Cold One Riders, 2 over here, and then 2 over here. And then also in these little mounted packs, we have one group of Cold One Spear Riders, which are... I'll say somewhat cost-effective anti-large units. The problem, though, is that they're, even with their bonus versus large of 14, they're only at a 44 against large creatures, which is not the best, but they're not super expensive, and again, on the charge, they can do some decent damage. They're not the worst. I don't think they're definitely bad for how much they cost. So we have 2 Cold One Spear Riders with both of these groups, and then 2 Cold One Riders, again, rocking 2 of those. And then the main line is just going to be the Source Warriors with shields, just to try and negate some of the range damage that the High Elves can bring, and it also gives them more melee defense to try and help them be a little bit more tanky in melee. So we have a whole line of them, and then Lord Mazdamundi. I could not afford the mount to try this mobile build of mine here, so unfortunately he's not going to be mounted, but he still does come with the banishment. We have the Shield of the Old Ones for spells. We have Apotheosis, the Harmonica Convergence for a single target buff, and then also the Net of Anmentok to try and keep people in place. I also took the Sunburst Standard of Hexwattle. That's how you pronounce it. I hope it is. So this is going to give a missile resistance and melee defense buff in an aura around him, including himself. So that's going to bring up his actual missile resistance to 52, which is not bad because he doesn't have a shield. So he's going to be relying on the missile resistance to try and live under the volley fire of, let's say, Lothern Sea Guard, which there are kind of a few. So that's going to be my entire army. For the enemy army, you can see here we have actually caught one of their Vanguard units, the Illyrian Reavers. We're going to be able to surround with our Cold One Riders, and these guys are dead. But there are 2 of them. There's one Illyrian Reaver over here and another one over here. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot my Vanguard. I have 2 coming as Kingston Vanguard, sorry. They will be joining the fight here relatively soon. So we have 2 Illyrian Reavers, one that's going to be dead within seconds. This one is going to give us a little bit more trouble, so they're going to be staying on the battlefield for a little while. And then for their main line, they have just a bunch of Spearmen. They have 2 Swordmasters of Hoeth, and then 4 Lothern Sea Guard. Now, I was expecting at least a Sisters of Avalorn to try and help focus down potential giant armored monster creatures that the Lizardmen can bring, which is why I really wanted to try this build against the High Elves, because the Sisters of Avalorn don't really have a bonus versus large, so I thought, our Cold Ones could just overwhelm them and murder them. No Sisters, though. They instead just, brought the 4 Lothern Sea Guard, and so with those Lothern Sea Guard and the Spearmen, and the fact that they also have Tyrion and a Noble, basically everything in this is going to be able to counter the Cold Ones, which is fine, because the purpose of testing builds is to see if they can work or not, and this is one of the worst situations for a bunch of mobile forces that are on mounts, because there are just like so many spears. But I'm kind of, I was interested to see how we could fare against High Elves. But anyway, so yeah, so they brought Tyrion with the Sunfang. I'm sorry, that's Feint to Riposte, which increases his physical resistance, melee defense, and melee attack, which brings it up to like around 100 when this thing is popped. He also brought the Sunfang, which is an insanely good breath weapon, like insanely good. It's really good at killing things. We also have Stand Your Ground, and then also Foe Seeker, and the thing that will bring him back from near death, the Heart of Avalorn, which is kind of one of the reasons why he is such a good duelist. And he's one of those units that can kind of just counter everything, because his melee attack and defense are just really good. Like, that's just so good. His armor is really good. He's on a horse, so he's very fast. He has a really high charge bonus, and his weapon strength is really good too. He's one of those all-rounders. He's good against literally anything you put against him. For the most part, I guess, except for, like, guns. Like, he can't just magically teleport upon your guns, I guess. So we also have a bodyguard here with a noble that they brought, the Sacred Incense, which will increase their missile resistance. I'm guessing that's just trying to counter chameleon skinks, or maybe skink, like, flyers, teardown riders, maybe? So that is the only item that they brought with them. I like the nobles because they remind me of Dynasty Warriors, because just how they hold their halberd on their horse, it kind of reminds me of Dynasty Warriors, and I like that video game a lot. But that is going to be their army. So 4 Lowland Sea Guards, 2 Swordmasters, Spearmen, Tyrion, and the Noble. We're going to be getting our Chameleon Skinks into position behind the enemy line. The enemy is going to be charging my position over here. And I'm actually going to be withdrawing instead of charging because I want to buy time, because we discovered this Illyrian Reaver over here. I want to buy time to try and corner them and kill them with all of our cold ones. So that's what we're doing over there, and I'm currently microing these units back. We have already destroyed this Illyrian Reaver, and I think I'll start moving these units around this giant tower to go up and attack from this way. But you can see here that the enemy is actually going to almost get away from our Cold One Spear Riders here, because I was trying to get an ambush. I thought they were going to move them all the way into the corner and try and escape out this way. So that's why I was moving these other units over here to just try and screen them, but they actually shifted, but we still did manage to catch them. And now we're going to be pouncing on them. And again, I want to try and buy time for the Cold One Riders to kill those Illyrian Reavers. So we are going to continue to withdraw to this line. I think this is as far as we withdraw. There is still a little bit more that we could, because the edge of the map is way back here. But I think that's as far as we go. The enemy, you can see, is going to try and charge our forces, which is a good deal, or a good time to do that, because obviously my cav is a little distracted over here, far away from the army, and they have the archers to try and put pressure. I guess I do back up a little bit more. Trying to buy more time. Trying to get, again, the other mobile force. So ideally we draw them into this area here, and we have our cold ones are going to be flanking around like this and this to try and hit their back line along with our Chameleon Skinks. That is the plan of what's going to happen. So we're going to fast forward just a little bit. We're trying to get into position. I haven't really revealed my Skinks yet. And right here, I am a little early on the left flank, so you can see that the Lothern Sea Guard are going to get into range with my Cold One Spear Riders, and I'm actually going to move around and try and maneuver into them. We have so many Spear Riders, like there's not, our only ideal targets for the Cold Ones at this point are the Swordmasters of Hoeth, but they've been moved up to the front line. I could have moved our Cold One Riders over here, but I really wanted to get them in the back, so this little move over here is going to delay their arrival on the actual battlefield for a while. It's going to take a long time to actually move around this giant ruined building over there. And I'm going to charge a little ahead of time. I was expecting these guys to be around there a little bit more faster. I think I just gave them like a generic move order around there, and I was thinking that they would be popping up over here within a matter of moments. They're going to be a little slow, but anyway, we're going to engage in the front line here. We got some spears, we got the Swordmasters of Hoeth. We're going to do super well against our Saurus Warriors. You can see I'm going to try and keep them in the fight a little bit longer with the Apotheosis, but even with the Apotheosis, Swordmasters are really good at killing Saurus Warriors. I do run, I think, Mazdamundi into these Swordmasters and into Tyrion. I'm not entirely sure why, because I think I was just, at this point, I'm going to be real, my micro is not amazing when it comes to a lot of cav units, which is a reason also why you should try and force yourself to play with a lot of cav units, because it will make you better. So right now, I remember I am more focused on getting these people in position, and I'm focused on trying to maneuver all of our Cold One Riders right now. So you can see that I've already lost this Cold One Spear Rider because I threw it into this Lothern Sea Guard, then it got surrounded by the Spearmen. But during the process of giving that attack order, I was moving other units into position, so I wasn't really macroing this one unit, and I kind of paid the price because they get just murdered. Over here, we do get a decent banishment on the Swordmasters of Hoeth. We do a little bit of damage on them, and we're going to do some more because they're actually going to run into it. So that's a really good banishment right there. Mazdamundi is going to be chased by Tyrion and the Noble here. I'm not entirely sure why I netted these instead of netting Tyrion in place, because Tyrion is going to start to try and chase Mazdamundi, which is going to be a lot slower because Tyrion is on a horse. Finally, over here, we get our other Cold One force into position. We just have to charge the Lothern Sea Guard. They do have anti-large, but I want to see if the Cold One Riders can even overcome that in melee. And I believe that they can in a 1v1 situation, but obviously, you know, battles are not a 1v1 situation necessarily. There's a lot of things that impact. Meanwhile, the Chameleon Skinks are just doing some harassment on these Spearmen, and we're going to be throwing them into the Lothern Sea Guard a little bit here and there. And you can see here we've done some decent damage against the Spearmen with our Cold One Riders, but we're going to try and withdraw from all the spears. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to focus over here. Tyrion and the Noble are on Mazdamundi's big frog booty on his throne there. So we're going to disengage one of these Saurus Warriors and try and run interference there. The Swordmasters of Hoeth that went through the middle are just kind of chasing down Mazdamundi as well. We throw in a group of Cold One Riders. They are not the spear variants. The only spear one I have right now is over here, currently rampaging against the Lothern Sea Guard. My only other spear that is anti-large got lost over here for the most part when I charged those other Lothern Sea Guard. So we're running a group of Saurus Warriors in here to try and interfere with these Swordmasters of Hoeth. We're going to try and keep Mazdamundi nearby because, again, he is giving them a 9 melee defense, which is pretty good. Cold One Riders here on rampaging, and I did pop Harmonic Convergence on them to try and keep them in the fight for as long as possible because they are fighting a Noble and Tyrion, which are both do really well against, well, you know, them. We do net the other Swordmasters of Hoeth over here because I don't want them to reinforce the other Sword Masters and overpower my Saurus Warriors. Meanwhile, in the rest of the line, our Saurus Warriors over here have done a lot of good damage. They're going to be tanking this spear unit, and then I think they tank this spear unit. I think it comes back from routing from the Cold One Riders who managed to route them back here, and they're going to come back and fight against this Saurus Warrior, and then the Saurus Warrior is eventually going to go up against, I believe, these Lothern Sea Guard, what remains of them after the fight with our Cold One Spear Riders. Meanwhile, back here you can see another one of our Cold One Riders are out, so at this point we only have really one fresh unit of Cold One Riders, which is this one. We're going to run them into the Sword Masters of Hoeth, which is actually an ideal target for them, because on the charge bonus they're going to be hitting at a 64 melee attack, and then they also do armor piercing damage, so really the Sword Masters are these units' ideal targets, so we're going to be able to run them in there and reinforce the rest of the units there. Meanwhile, just trying to keep Masamudi safe. I probably should have kept him a little bit close, but honestly, I was really afraid of Tyrion breaking through and killing him. But we really want his aura defense to be affecting as much as possible. So I think I do bring him in until he is just clipping these units to increase their melee defense. Because again, that's a big deal. You see now the shield of the old ones coming down here. Tyrion does break through, but we do have another unit of Saurus Warriors who just dealt with some spearmen over there. So they're going to try and intercept Tyrion. Tyrion is just a massive threat on this battlefield. Meanwhile, Command King still just kind of in the back, trading fire with the Lothern Sea Guard, just shooting up some of these spearmen as they're trying to reinforce their Lord Tyrion. Over here, Cold Ones are finally going to come back. I believe they were rampaging before. Dropping in another banishment on here, we're just going to try and sacrifice the Saurus Warriors because now they're fighting against two Sword Masters. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do this trade. So the banishment does really well. Starts here and then actually kind of curves around and hits both Sword Masters. Then we're going to recharge them with our fresh Cold One Riders. So the Sword Masters are for the most part dead. Masamundi is safe a little bit longer because we ran those Cold Ones in there. We ran the Saurus Warriors in there. You see Tyrion still trying to find a path to Masamundi, just kind of disengaging, running around. And I'm going to try to do whatever I can to keep Masamundi away from Tyrion. We need to just not be fighting him. So we're going to run the Cold One Riders in here. We're going to try and, I believe, escape through the Cold One Riders. We are going to be getting hit by the Lothern Sea Guard, but remember, he does have a 52% missile resistance, so any Lothern Sea Guard fire is going to be severely lessened by that. And on top of the armor that he has, there goes another Sun Fang. I think that's the second one so far. He did a lot of good damage to some Saurus Warriors before. Meanwhile, again, that Saurus Warrior I talked about earlier is just going to be tanking this for a long time. They're not really going to be moving much. This is Command Skink. We're going to be running into melee with the Lothern Sea Guard because they are now out of ammunition. I'm actually going to run Masamundi over here to try and assist them, buffing up their melee defense and also just trying to route this Lothern Sea Guard because they still have a lot of ammunition. This Command Skink, I think, is going to be pulled into melee soon-ish against the Spearmen. Saurus Warriors that were fighting against the Sword Masters are now fighting against the Noble and Tyrion, and we've almost crushed the Noble at this point with the help of all the Cold One Riders. Unfortunately, you can see a couple of them are routing off that way. Some Saurus Warriors coming back from the battle actually going to be running this way. We do manage to rout, I believe, here pretty soon this one Lothern Sea Guard. Meanwhile, Saurus Warriors still just tanking it up on their second Spearman, still getting shot by two Lothern Sea Guard there and there. Tyrion has now broken free once again, and I'm like, oh crap! So we're going to cast, what did we cast there? I don't even know. I think I was casting something. I'm not entirely sure what it was. But anyway, we're just like, oh my god. So run the Command Sneaks in there. Luckily, the Cold One Riders are actually rampaging into Tyrion, which is really good. And you see that he just popped the Feint and Repost, which means he's not going to really be taking much damage at all. And we're just trying to escape this story of this game so far. But like, really, considering that we've been going up against a lot of anti-large, like, we still did pretty good so far. The fight's not over, though. The morale is kind of going into their favor due to Tyrion. But we have managed to bust up their Noble. We still do have some Saurus Warriors left and some Command Skinks. Granted now they need to go into melee, but they're not the worst in melee when fighting against like Lothern Sea Guard and Spearmen, I guess. Again, these guys are just tanking up, doing a lot of good damage, and I'm just trying to run Masamundi away from the spears. Tyrion is just like furiously right-clicking, so we're going to cast Apotheosis, and we're running more Saurus Warriors and Command Skinks into Tyrion. He's going to be able to just kind of force his way through these small lizards, and I'm going to run the Cold One Riders who are now back from rampaging. I'm going to run them into Tyrion. I think I run these Saurus Warriors into Tyrion, and we're doing whatever we can, because you can just see this player is just like furiously right-clicking on Masamundi. He does not, or they do not care about anything else right now, so I'm just like, oh my god, run! So we're just getting free hits here. You do not want to duel Tyrion. There's no purpose in me standing still and dueling him. That would just be death. So we managed to run, and we finally managed to surround this damn High Elf, and they are still going to be right-clicking on Tyrion. You're going to notice he's not going to attack for a while, I believe. He's just going to be sitting there trying to constantly get to Masamundi. I'm running Masamundi around in circles, trying to buff all the melee defense of the units nearby and buff up their missile resistance. But you can see that I'm taking fire from the Lothern Sea Guard. And the thing is, we're so injured at this point. He does have high missile resistance, but unfortunately, we don't have many hit points left at this point because of Tyrion, so we are actually going to rout Masamundi. This Saurus Warrior finally shoots through both of those Spearmen and the Lothern Sea Guard, so we're going to be able to run them over here into those near destroyed Lothern Sea Guard. Noble came back from running, I think, for a moment, but then it's going to reroute again. And there's not much left on the battlefield, except for Tyrion, who is getting some hits against it, because, again, he was just right-clicking on Masamundi. I think, yeah, finally he is starting to fight against our actual forces. We do still have a lot, but then the Sun Fang. That's Sun Fang, though. So that Sun Fang is actually going to seal the deal, and we are going to do a massive rout. So these Source Warriors are not going to be able to clean up those on the Sea Guard, and that is going to be a GG for Tyrion and the High Elves. But again, considering that most of our money was poured into these mobile forces, and I did not micro them as good as I could have, I don't think it went that bad, in all honesty. We got lucky with the banishments, though. Both of the banishments did really well in killing the Swordmasters. The Cold One Riders, even matched up against anti-large units, still did pretty good. Now, the thing is, though, all of these anti-large units, they were trading up in that regard, because these guys are more expensive than Laldon Seaguard and Spearmen. So even though they did kill a lot of them, they still weren't really cost effective. Again, I was hoping that I would be going up against some Avalorn, Sisters of Avalorn, and ideally, honestly, these packs were set up that the Cold One Spear Riders and the double Cold One Riders would pounce on a Dragon Nobles, Dragon Princes, whatever. I was thinking that they would be bringing those, because those are a very popular pick to bring, because they're pretty good, especially the Renown units. So I was trying to, you know, make an anti-cav goon squad to see if it would work, you know, with all that armor piercing, and try and bring down the Dragon Princes, and then, you know, proceed onward to Sisters of Avalorn. But they did not. They brought only the Illyrian Reavers, which we did manage to catch early and kill. Tyrion with 98 kills with all of the Sun Fangs and just melee damage. Him and the Noble just were wrecking Masamudi. Did manage to get some decent kills with the Banishment. The Source line did really well against the Spearmen. Unfortunately, not, I guess, good enough. I mean, really, it's the mobile force here that was not picking up the slack. If I had brought just, like, a lot of tanky dinos, it probably would have been okay. But I still didn't really have any actual response to Tyrion. Tyrion is just such a beast on the battlefield, and I had nothing. I did not bring anything that can directly counter him, really. It was just, I would need to just keep throwing units at him until he finally dies. Twice, because he, you know, had the Avalorn heart, so he can pop a second life, basically. And, yeah, I knew, like, when Tyrion was just rampaging there towards the end, I was like, oh, this isn't good. Like, even if, in the ideal situation where all my units managed to kill every one of theirs, and he would still be there, and he would still be a force, and he would probably cleave through everything, because you need to bring a counter against him. He's really good. And I didn't really bring any counter. I guess maybe the Chameleon Skinks eventually could have whittled him away, even through his high armor, but I was using them to fight, you know, their backline. Anyway, enough rambling. Let me just quickly check on these Cold One Riders. I want to say they're almost exactly like the Dark Elf Cold One Riders. Cold One Knights, sorry. I want to say they're almost like pound for pound the same thing, which is kind of crazy, because they even cost the same. So it looks like the Cold One Spear Riders, you know, same stat line. But yeah, like they have, what, 2 less melee attack? And they have less charge bonus, though. But the Cold One Knights do less damage. Yeah. So they're pretty similar. But the thing is, the Cold One Knights also have the Murder Mastery. Cold One Spear Riders don't. Anyway, I just wanted to quickly look at that because they're really similar in stats and the same price and everything. Anyway, let's go watch the cinematic view of that battle. Lizards riding dinos. One of the coolest races. I love him. I love the look of him. So many spears. So yeah, I definitely should have held off the attack here. I needed to wait for the other gold one group to be in range. I jumped the gun when these guys started getting shot at. And then I gave them the attack order, then I went to micro the things, and they did not have a good time. Oh, Sunfang. Actually, that Sunfang I think did more damage to their own Swordmasters than my guys, because my guys were already routing at that point. We got little skinks. Hola, skink. Cute little skinks. One of the most annoying units in the game. A stalking, skirmishing unit that is also really good at withstanding missile fire. And pretty fast with poison. So if I wanted to be super effective, I needed to micro all of the cav a lot more with pulling them out and recharging in so they can get their charge bonus multiple times. But I was just so overwhelmed by how many units we had that I did not do that. Now, Cold War Knights are not exactly shock cav. Like with shock cav, you definitely need to be cycle charging a lot. These guys are at least designed a little bit more to just kind of stay in the fight for a bit. They're not really cycle chargers necessarily, but you still probably should. You still have a really high charge bonus, and they kind of need it to get through the melee defense, especially of the high elves with their martial prowess. Nothing stops Tyrion. To stop his Swordmasters, though. I think they're routing at this point. That's somebody's like, get me the hell out of here! It's a cool attack. It's not one I really see that often. I usually have this guy mounted. That's pretty cool. I got stared off right here. Attack somebody! Do something! There we go! feel like something's coming. Oh, look, it's Tyrion. Turns out, Kaminsky Kings don't really have the mass needed to kind of stop him. Although the Sauruses are helping, the cold ones, briefly. Literally the entire army is sent to try and just stop him. That was part of the problem. Like, I probably should have sent these Cold One riders at least, like, stop the Lulden Sea Guard or something. But I felt like I needed their mass, because they actually do have a pretty big mass with the mounts, just to stop him. It's like the infantry wouldn't be enough. I think this is when Mazamundi is going to be like, well, I think I've had enough. Just lightly peppered by arrows. It's like, alright guys, I'm out. See you tomorrow. And then the Sun Fang. Oh, that's not what you want to see. And then everyone's out. So there you go, everybody. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Take care.